Productivity isn't about just getting more done. It's about achieving more. Our special guest today is going to share with us some great tips on that are going to help us win each day and achieve more with our lives. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. All you need is the right plan. I am super excited to have with me today Chris Bello from Chris Bello Real Estate. He is a residential real estate expert and podcast host. Chris, welcome and thanks for being here, man.
Thanks so much for having me here, Tim. Great to be here.
Absolutely. When we were just chatting before we went on air, you just moved from Houston to Denver. So we're like 30 minutes apart. So
yeah, I was in your neck of the woods just yesterday at a networking event that we were hosting.
Yes. Well, welcome to Colorado.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. So before we jump into talking about productivity, which is important to every business owner, if it's not, it should be. Want to ask you some rapid fire questions. Just help us get to know you a bit. You ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Okay. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
I love the outdoors, as we were just talking about offline before we hit record here. That's why we moved here. We've been kayaking, hiking, biking, everything. I'm just outdoors every single day. If I see the sun out, I'm at least taking the dog on a 20-minute walk somewhere.
Awesome. Me too. That's why I'm here. What's your hidden talent?
I'd say my hidden talent is probably connecting with people. Maybe it's not so hidden because I easily make friends and people can tell I truly believe that I'm a genuine person. I'm not trying to just make friends for like a hidden motive. And so I make easy friends everywhere I go.
Yeah. That's a good talent to have.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I would say the best piece of advice, maybe it was not necessarily from somebody, but from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. Just stick to one thing until you get there, like a postage stamp. All the ideas in that book really helped me to get focused because before, like many other entrepreneurs, had shiny object syndrome, did not see success for quite some time because I was just scattered all over the place. Yep. So just stick to one thing until you get there and keep your focus narrow.
What's one thing about you that surprises people?
I'd say one thing that surprises people is, well, how disciplined and focused I can be, because I am not a disciplined or detail-oriented person. So when they see all the scorecards that I use that we'll talk about later, the things that I track so many different things, including how many pages I read a day of books. They're like, how did you get so organized? How do you have so many systems? And it came through reading books and implementing. So I think that's something that surprises people of how organized I am, because whenever they see how scatterbrained I can be, they're like, you did this? Yeah. It doesn't make sense to them. I'm like, yeah, I created it because I needed that control for myself.
So what they're saying is you don't come across as a disciplined person.
I guess in a way, yeah. Or they see that I don't really seem to work very much. If you're watching my Instagram stories, my social media, I'm always hanging out, kayaking. They're like, when do you ever work? And it's because I've built these systems where other people are fulfilling on all the little things in between. Yeah. So we could talk about that as well, just creating the lifestyle freedom and, lifestyle design. Yeah. As Tim Ferriss talks about in 4-Hour Work Week, like that was a huge inspiration for everything that I've done in my business today.
Yeah. Cool. What does success mean to you?
Success to me is, I love the definition of, I guess, entrepreneurship or success is being able to do whatever you want with whomever you want, whenever you want. And that is true freedom. Like if I want to go take a plane to Mykonos and stay there for a week, like that is freedom. Most people can't do that. They got to request days off. They don't have the funds to do it. They can't really figure out the details, and just being able to do that, which is amazing. Like I had an iFly coach indoor skydiving texted me today, like, hey, I might have some time. You want to stop by today? I'm like, actually, yeah, I only have one appointment in the morning. Maybe I'll stop by for some indoor skydiving and coaching just because I want to and because I can. So that to me is freedom.
So I'm keeping you from indoor skydiving right
now. No, this is great. After this, that wasn't even on the calendar, but that's what true flexibility is, hey, do I want to go to the gym now? Or, let me just go to iFly and then I'll go work out afterwards. You can shuffle things around on a moment's notice without being too concerned.
Where's your happy place?
My happy place is wherever I am, I guess. I try to be very present in the present moment and just truly appreciate everything in that moment, because I know it's easy to get caught up in saying, I'll be happy when I make this much money. I'll be happy when I move to this place or have my dream house.
Yeah.
And it just you keep on moving the goalpost. So I like to say that my happy moment is right now.
Cool. What qualities do you value in the people with whom you spend time?
I would definitely say just self-driven people that want to be better. They want to learn. They want to grow. It's that whole mindset of entrepreneurship. Once you get into that space, it's very difficult to hang out with those old friends who just want to drink on Friday night or go to the bars or, watch NFL all day on Sunday. You can no longer really do that. So I really value people who just want to improve their lives. They have some kind of ambition. That's what I really value. And you can actually have a conversation other than what some sports team did or, what their favorite drink is at the bar.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Helps give us a little bit of insight.
Absolutely.
Who Chris Bello really is. Before we start talking about productivity, tell us just a little bit more. We talked about this a bit, but what are you doing today? What type of people are you working with? How are you helping people?
Yeah, great question. So I need to get better at having that little elevator pitch, like you see on the LinkedIn profiles, like I help blank do blank.
Yes.
But essentially, I do have my real estate license. I have experience on the residential side primarily. I've also done something called wholesaling, which is mostly off-market transactions. But I really am working on branding myself as just a real estate residential expert so that anybody who has any questions about buying or selling a house anywhere in the U.S., reaches out to me first. And that way I can capitalize and capture referral commissions by sending, people and deals to other real estate agents across the nation.
Yeah.
So that's been my main focus, which of course enables me to play this location arbitrage where, I just moved to Denver. Like, am I still doing deals? Well, I'm still getting paid referral commissions from all the business that I'm generating. And that enables me to have that freedom and flexibility where I still get income without having to do all the showing houses and all that stuff. And then my podcast too. I'm a podcast host, Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. Just passed 1 million overall total downloads this year, which was pretty exciting.
Awesome.
And I just love connecting with people, having fun. That's if you watch my social media posts, you'll see all I'm doing is having fun, connecting with people, networking, and in between, people are buying and selling houses, and I'm getting paid. Obviously, I'm hopefully adding a lot of value to their lives by connecting them with the right people, and of course, getting to fulfill my own financial goals as well.
Is a lot of your real estate revenue from referrals, or is the majority of it still from actual transactions that you do?
I'd say I'm starting to increase the percentage of referrals just by making people more aware. Like, I had an accountability call with one of my friends I talk to every 2 weeks, and it came up. He's like, "Hey, my brother's buying a house in Seattle. Like, you can help him with that, right?" It's just awareness and letting people know, come to me for those things. Because most people might be like, "Oh, Chris doesn't do real estate in Seattle. He only does Houston." And I would have never heard about that. But because I've been telling people, think of me first for any real estate questions, that enabled me to talk to his brother, find out what he's looking for, talk to a couple real estate agents, pair him with the ones I thought would be a good fit. And they're under contract on a house right now. I could potentially be making a $4,000 referral commission for 30 minutes of Zoom calls.
You know what people don't realize, and the reason I asked you this, because this is applicable not just to real estate, and
any industry.
I think people need to be very open-minded about this. But I was listening to a podcast a while ago, and they were talking about Ryan Serhant. For those of you that don't know who Ryan Serhant is, he's a real estate agent in New York. He's on $1 Million Listing New York, and they were talking about how like 30% of his revenue comes from referral fees. And it's like, dude, just because you don't do business in specific areas, or just because you don't do certain things within your business,
right?
If people are coming to you for advice, you can make referrals and make residual income, or at least referral income from making those connections. And if we think open-mindedly about this, anybody can do this. So
it's incredible. There's so many people who leave money on the table because they're like, "Oh, they're asking a question outside my market," or "I don't really deal with that." And they just drop the ball. And even with I don't know, maybe this isn't applicable in other industries as much, but like a Spanish speaking lead, I had a lead who only spoke Spanish. I can speak a little bit of Spanish, but not enough to comfortably, fully represent a client.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of like didn't even follow up. Like, well, I'd be doing a disservice to them, whatever. I had all these thoughts in my head of why I shouldn't reach out to them. And then I just connected them with a group text to a Spanish speaking agent in my office. And now they're under contract on another property too. So it's ways to just capture leads that would otherwise fall through the cracks from just putting the right people, making the right connections. Because if you are the expert and people come to you for advice, like you said there, then you should be able to add value to that person and connect the dots in a way that gets you paid down the road as well.
Yep. And you're helping multiple people at once.
Exactly. Because it's a win-win-win, truly. Yes. The guy gets to talk to a qualified real estate agent in Seattle, for example. The Seattle agent's happy because it's essentially a free lead for him. And then I'm happy because I get a little, commission check out of that as well. So It really is a win-win all around.
So people are probably thinking, dude, Tim, stop jabbing here. Let's get to productivity.
Let's do it.
But honestly, if you just take that one thing, how can you get residual or referral income in your business from this episode? It's well worth it. So let's talk about productivity. What are some quick wins people can get with productivity? You got some quick hacks here to help people achieve more?
I do. And I need to create more of a framework because I have so many different things that I've implemented, but I can definitely share the three that come to mind first that have made the biggest difference for me. So the first thing I would say is have some sort of booking software, especially if you're in sales, for people to schedule time on your calendar. And for me, I've been using Calendly, and I've promoted them so much, and I don't even have an affiliate link or anything. I'm just like, man, I love that tool. It's so easy to use. I think I pay $10 a month or something for premium, where I can send a 15-minute Zoom call link, a 15-minute phone call link, a separate link for a podcast where you can only book on a certain day. And no one can book me on Fridays or Sundays anymore by design.
Yeah.
It sends automated email reminders. I know you had something similar as well that was sending me reminders, and even text message. Hey, by the way, you have this call in 15 minutes. And that increases your conversions, I believe, because if I'm trying to call somebody, it goes to voicemail, they're busy. It's a lot more difficult than if they schedule a time with me where they are guaranteed, they're more likely to show up on camera for a Zoom call that they know is coming up, and they get reminders for, instead of me trying to call them while they're at the grocery store or they have a screaming baby in the background, for example. So you know how life gets in the way sometimes. So my first step would be to get a Calendly or some sort of booking event, especially if you're in a sales type of role. If you have online products, this may not be as relevant, but if you're trying to schedule appointments with anyone, that's the tool to use, or something similar.
I love it. I use Book Like a Boss. Very similar to Calendly, but yeah, absolutely.
Like a boss.
You got to do it. I had some roadblocks before I started using software like this, because when this first happened to me, I was like, gosh, that's kind of impersonal. But then at the same time, it's like, guys, there's so much back and forth. It's ridiculous. It really is. It wastes so much time. And the other roadblock that I had initially was, well, what if I send people on my calendar link and they don't schedule? Well, if they don't schedule, they're not freaking motivated. So forget it and move on. So
exactly.
If you're having roadblocks, just do what you can to push through those and start using it. It's so much more widely accepted at this point.
It is.
Yeah. Just do it and don't look back. The 10, even if it was $50 a month for me, it would still be worth it.
Same. The two tools that I pay for right now that I think are the most valuable for me in my business, especially for doing intro calls or sales calls or even podcasts, Calendly and Zoom Premium, because they integrate. We've talked about this before as well. I love StreamYard. This is a really clean interface and everything. But I guess for now, Calendly and Zoom, and between the two, I think I pay $25 a month. And that can generate me a deal that I close is like $10,000 to $12,000 commission.
Yeah.
I mean, my costs are so low right now, which is amazing. So I'd say some sort of booking software would be the first step. For a second tip, I would recommend text replacement. I think it's called keyboard shortcuts or something, depending on if you have iPhone or Android. Look in the settings and you can do text shortcuts where you can reply. And so if you're always sending a certain type of message, like if someone's trying to call you and it's an unknown number and you don't want to necessarily just ignore them or hang up, you can reply with a text, or you can even text them. Like if you have a little code, I think the one that is default in the iPhone is OMW. It says on my way.
Yeah.
With the exclamation mark, but you can add as many things as you want in there. And so for title companies in real estate, for example, if I have a transaction, everyone's like, what's the title company? I might put like, FT as a shortcut, and it'll put all the information for frontier title with the actual person they need to reach out to and the address of the location I'm talking about. And that saves me from like going to a note and copying it and pasting it or typing it out manually every time. And that also helps a lot when you reply with a text. I'll do that a lot because we get a lot of spam calls. All of us do.
Yeah.
And I'll just reply back. I'm like, this looks fishy. Why am I getting this call from like New York or something? It could be a lead. It could be a client, but I'll just reply back with an auto text that says, hey, I'm in an appointment right now. Can you please text me? And if they don't text me and I get some random spammy voicemail, I'm like, oh, that's why, I didn't answer, because it saved me like 3 minutes or 2 minutes there of my time, which adds up, of course.
I love that. So text replacement. I'm going to add one here, if that's okay. And hopefully this is not your next one.
2.5 or 3.
But very similar to text replacement is with your email I use Gmail, so I use canned responses. I don't know what it's like for Outlook, but canned responses.
Like a template?
Yeah, it's a template, right?
Awesome.
And so I have multiple templates for the typical emails that we use, or like even for our projects, right? How we onboard clients. We have template emails so that you're not reinventing the wheel each and every time. It's consistent. You're not wasting time. And you can just fill in the little pieces that you need to customize it.
I love
it. But
it.
It's done very, very quickly. The other thing that really saves me time as well is, man, if I have to type a long email, I don't. I use Loom. Do you use Loom? Have you ever heard of
Loom is great. I've seen people use it. I haven't really used it yet, but I love the idea of it because you can share your screen essentially and just record a little video, right?
You can share your screen, or it can just be you on video. But it's like, man, if it's going to take me longer than a minute,
you just do Loom
to type it. You just do Loom. Hey, I shot you a quick video. And oftentimes it's so much easier to explain, because if it's something that's detailed, you may be typing an email.
Be a
15
long
minutes
email.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got booking software, text replacement. What's the third one?
I'd say the third one would be maybe honoring your schedule, honoring your calendar, which I know isn't necessarily a hack. It's more of like a discipline and a mindset, because I truly believe if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And I go by that so crazily. Like I just mentioned before, we got on the call, I just got engaged literally like this last week. And I had 400 plus Facebook likes and Instagram comments, and everyone tries to text you and call you and congratulate you, which is great. Thank you. The only calls I really took were from like my parents.
Yeah.
Actually, they knew before I even posted about it, because I had to FaceTime them and let them know. So we did all the announcements
to find out on Instagram, right?
Exactly. I'm like, that's kind of harsh if they find out from a Facebook post. But that's a perfect example where I'll literally be at lunch or something with my fiance. I'm getting used to saying fiance now. I've been saying girlfriend for like the last 4 years. But we'll be getting coffee or something, and she'll see my phone ring, and she's like, "Oh, your friend Josh is calling you," who's like my best childhood friend. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing something right now. Like, I'm not just going to answer it because I know that's going to be a 10-minute call. And if I answer the next call, that's going to be like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I'm very good about sending people to voicemail. My voicemail tells them to text me or email me. And that's how they start to get these different autoresponders or email sequences or whatever it is that needs to get them my booking link. So if they really want to talk to me, I tell everyone to just use a booking link. And I kind of joke, it's like the Batman signal in the sky. If you book time, I will show up, But if you just try to call me or text me out of the blue, I'm typically like doing indoor skydiving or hiking. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to answer a call in most cases. And so just to recap the 3 steps I recommend: Calendly or a bookings type software, text replacement, and I know you added the email template to that, or Loom, which I love. Yeah. And then the third one is just really honor your calendar. I put everything on there: workouts, sauna session, if I'm going on a hike, if I'm going on dinner. And that way, when it'll integrate with your Calendly, so no one can book me when I have dinner where I'm supposed to propose to my girlfriend. Like no one books a Zoom call at that time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard multiple people talk about your calendar and honoring your calendar, and it's a great one, because it allows you to make sure that you're getting the right things done.
Exactly.
Which is going to help you achieve more, not just get stuff done.
It's so powerful, because if you ask me what I did today a year ago, I've probably been using my calendar for at least 1 or 2 years religiously, where I go in there, everything's in there. And if something gets removed or deleted, I delete it. So
Yeah.
I can confidently go into my calendar any day of the week and say, these are the things that I did on that day. And instead of being like, oh, what happened 2 weeks ago? I can go in and be like, oh, I went to that thing. I did a Zoom call and I did a podcast interview. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So you touched on your scorecard earlier.
Yep.
What is this scorecard for our life, and how do we create one?
So to be fair, I guess you hear the saying, like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, it's very original ideas are harder to come by these days. You always kind of get an idea or inspiration from a podcast. So I think I heard this on a podcast where someone talked about a scorecard that they were using to track their actual daily activities and inputs that will lead to the results that they want. And so I created a scorecard for myself, just measuring a few of the things that I thought were most important or moved the needle, which sometimes it's difficult to track, right? Like if you and I get interviewed on 5 podcasts and we're not sure when they're going to be published, and you don't know where the lead came from, you might have gotten a lead. Which podcast did it come from? Like, you got to try to find out a little more information. So it's difficult to track, but I know that it's going to pay off in the long run. So my scorecard has things like how many social media posts did I make today? I'll give myself 1 point for a Facebook post, for example. If I do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live video, I give myself 2 points because that has a little more reach and it's a little more, it's like a step up, right? Instead of just a picture, it's a video, kind of like the Loom thing you mentioned earlier. You can get across more information. And if I get an executed contract, this is more real estate related, I'll give myself 3 points. And my goal is to get 5 daily points. So probably a week or two ago, this was kind of cool. I had a person looking at homes in Houston. I was paying a showing agent to show houses. And then we made a couple of offers. So I'll give myself a point for an offer as well. And then the next morning I was going to walk my dog and I see the offer came back signed from the other agent, which means it's an executed contract. Both parties have signed. And so, it's a little bit like cheating in a way, but I'm like, cool. I woke up and I have 3 points and I haven't even done anything today yet. Right. But it was a result of what I did the day before and 2 days before that when she was viewing houses and we were discussing potential offers to make. And those are the things that are most likely to lead to what I want, which is, of course, a happy client, checks coming into my name, my bank account. Yeah. And that way I have the freedom, the financial flexibility, all those different things. And so if anyone wants a copy of that, by the way, I do have like a free link I can send them to, okay. No opt-in or anything. Cool. It should be chrisbello.com/scorecard. And they're just in Google Drive. So make sure to make a copy, save it to Excel. But I have a version 1 and version 2 just to kind of show inspiration for what people might be able to do with their individual goals. And it's going to be different for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So the things that somebody else might be tracking may be different, but it's a matter of honing in on those activities and those events that are getting you closer to where you want to go and assigning a point value to them.
Yes. And it also gives you some flexibility because say, today for podcasts, for example, I'll give myself 2 points for going on a podcast and 2 points for having someone on my podcast because we're developing rapport, relationship. We're going to stay connected. We actually live pretty close to each other now that I learned that as well. So maybe that would turn into coffee or referrals or anything down the road. So that would be 4 points out of the 5 for today. And then maybe I can look at Facebook and make a quick post and share another episode and get to the 5.
Yeah. Wow.
And I don't just stop there too. Sometimes I go above, but the cool thing is once you get the 5 points, it kind of gamifies it,
Yes.
Now I can go to iFly for 5 hours if I want to and go hiking and not feel guilty because I did the points that I needed to do.
Yeah. So I love that. So it gamifies it, which for a lot of us does keep us interested and motivated.
Yeah.
But it keeps us focused on the right activities and eliminates our focus on the wrong ones. So I love that. How much time would you say that it takes you to track these things? Like how many things are you tracking? Because I could see some people tracking too much.
That's probably me, but I have a system. And if you've heard of The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, have you read that book?
Mm-hmm.
So that got me started on a morning routine, which I read, I meditate, I journal, and then I do the exercise at the end, because I actually want to go to the gym and do a whole hour. But that's a great read for anyone who hasn't checked it out. And I actually ran into Hal one time at in Austin, which was kind of cool. He was like getting coffee with his family. But that got me into my morning routine. And I just pulled up my own personal, it has my scorecard, but also a lot of other things that I track. And it's really, I call it Chris Bello real estate dashboard, but it's really like a life dashboard. I've got my net worth tracked in here. I track how many times, I change the kitty litter because otherwise I'll forget. I'm like, how often did I change? Things like that. Like I mentioned, how many pages I've read. I've got a snapshot of all my real estate transactions, and I'm pretty savvy in Excel. So I've created pivot tables and charts and graphs where I can see the trend lines of like my net worth and what's my projected income for the next month or two when deals are expected to close. In terms of my self-development tab, I'm tracking, did I do a morning routine? Did I meditate? Did I do exercise? One is yes, 0 is no. And then the Excel spreadsheet can tabulate this. So 1 means you did it that day. If I did 2 activities, if I worked out at the gym and I went on a hike, that counts as 2 workouts for the day. And even the number of pages that I'm tracking. So maybe it looks like overkill when I'm showing people, but I go through the whole thing in maybe 10 minutes. I'm just looking like, okay, what's my life snapshot look like? Am I on pace to hit my goals for the year? I even have formulas that tabulate at this rate, you are on track to hit your goal by the end of the year, or you need to pick up the pace. Yeah. So quick example to show I'm not lying is my annual goal. And I kind of had to play with the numbers a little bit, just depending on what I was looking to hit. So I want to read 8,000 pages by the end of the year. And right now I am tracking to hit 7,763. So I need to pick up the pace a little bit, if that makes sense. So I can kind of see, instead of getting to December 31st and saying like, oh man, I didn't hit those goals, I know now if I'm doing enough to hit them or not, or if I need to pick it up. So
your life is tracked in a spreadsheet.
It really is. And I save backups because I'm like, if this thing got lost or deleted, I'd be very upset because I have a snapshot of where I am, where my progress. I've even journaled for the last 3 years in Google Sheets. So I can review what happened today, 2 years ago and a year ago. And then what am I going to type for today? Like this podcast interview. I'm going to have this awesome conversation.
You were not joking about being disciplined. Most people do not have that type of discipline. I love the scorecard concept. Now, the last thing I want to ask you is, how do we win each day? I think you've dropped some serious bombs that are going to help people win each day, but what else do you want to add to that?
Thank you. So I think this one really ties into the scorecard because so many people, they operate they shoot from the hip. They don't track anything. I was like that certainly when I started. Wasn't really sure what to do. Does it count if I watch 1 hour of YouTube as learning, right? Is it applicable? Or I see you're wearing the funnel hacker shirt, right? Like when I got ClickFunnels and then I watched all the videos and did a little affiliate boot camp to learn about all the email marketing. I could trick myself to thinking I was being productive when I wasn't focusing on the right things. Yeah. And so when you start to actually track and hold yourself accountable to the goals that you set, again, being able to look into your calendar and say, these are the things I did on that day. These are how many points on my scorecard I've gotten, or whatever metrics that you're using, you can actually win the day. So the cool thing with the scorecard is my goal is to hit 5 points a day, 25 for the week. I don't even count the weekends. That's like bonus. If I do a call on a Saturday, cool. It's the icing on top. But like I mentioned, if I finish my 5 points by 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., I don't feel guilty, because we always have that thing as entrepreneurs. You could always do more. You could go to one more meeting. You could take one more call, and it never ends. And you feel guilty anytime you're taking free time. I found that was the case for me. This helps me turn that switch off where I got my points done. I got my executed contract. I did a podcast. I'm going to hang out for the rest of the day with my fiance. We're going to go on a hike, and I'm not going to feel guilty at all about it.
Yeah.
And that's me winning my day. It'll be different for everyone though.
But I think you mentioned the one thing by Gary Keller, and he talks about this concept in there about focus on your most important task first thing in the day. Right. Exactly. And, I've heard other people talk about like your MIP, your most important project or your most important task, whatever it is. If we can get in the discipline of doing that the first thing in our day, before everything goes sideways and you get distracted, if nothing else happens in that day, you've already won that day, because you've taken that one step to help you get that much closer to where you want to go.
Yes.
I think it's a really hard discipline to get, in the habit of. But man, if you can do it, it's I mean, it's life changing. It's like you said, you got this stuff done. Now you can, whatever you do the rest of the day is cool. You don't have, you're guilt free.
Right.
That is an amazing way to live. So I appreciate you sharing that, Chris. Are there any other last minute, thoughts, words of wisdom you want to share before we wrap things up?
I definitely recommend journaling quite often. I have just a sketch pad that I write in. This is probably my 4th or 5th sketch pad that I've been filling, front to back. Literally all these pages are filled in, and I'll take notes, like right now I'm kind of jotting some things down as we talk, but then maybe at 3 p.m. I write down, okay, 3 p.m. This is what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm learning. So I recommend that for just being introspective and seeing what you're thinking about and how you're feeling about certain things. And also reviewing it is a great way to see, did I have any great ideas 3 months ago that I kind of forgot about and buried in a page? And then other than that, I'd say my motto for my podcast is just less dreaming, more doing, because too many people, they dream. They're like, that'd be cool to do one day. Oh gosh, I wish I could just move to another state, or man, skydiving, maybe one day I'll do that. Yeah. There's not much stopping you other than you. You're the only one stopping you in most cases. So I would just say less dreaming, more doing, and just whatever it is that you want to do, make a plan and work the plan and just take action today as soon as possible.
Yeah, I love it. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time in. You've shared some really good tips that I know anybody can benefit from. Where can people learn more about you?
For sure. So I'm most active on Instagram, and thanks for the opportunity to plug myself. Yeah. My handle is Chris Bello _ on there. And then also my free guide, of course, as you're kind of seeing flash across the screen, is just chrisbello.com/free. That kind of talks about more of the productivity hacks that I recommend, and it'll enable people to get onto my newsletter to stay in touch. And, I said, I was listening to one of your shows where you're like, hey, if you're not sending 3 a week, you're not sending enough. Yeah. That's totally me, because I'm only sending like once every week or two. But it's a great way to just stay in touch with what I'm up to and new things that I've learned, as well as random fun things like my engagement recently. Yeah, awesome, man. So guys, that is, for those that are listening, it's Chris, CHRIS Bello, BELLO, chrisbello.com/free. Chris, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. If you guys are running into any marketing roadblocks and you need some help pushing through those, hop on over to our website, rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com. Click on the get a free consult button. I guarantee you will get a ton of value in that call and walk away with some clarity on where you need to focus right now to get the best return. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, take care.